The sun woke Hana up. It was bright and warm on her face. She opened her eyes and saw blue sky through the trees. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then she remembered. The forest. The creature. She sat up quickly and looked around. The creature was still there. It was awake, sitting in the same spot next to her helmet. When it saw her move, its ears perked up. It made that soft chirping sound, like it was saying good morning. Hana rubbed her eyes. She couldn't believe it. The creature had stayed all night. It hadn't run away. It hadn't tried to hurt her. It had just stayed there, keeping watch. She pulled out another ration bar and shared it with the creature. It ate eagerly, its tail swishing back and forth. Happy, Hana poured more water for it. It drank and then licked her hand, making her laugh. Her communicator beeped. She answered it. Hana, what's your status? It was Jiho. He sounded worried. I'm fine, she said. I'm heading back now. I'll meet you at the checkpoint. Good. Minho wants to talk to you. He's not happy you stayed out all night. Hana sighed. She had expected that. Minho was their sergeant. He liked rules. He liked plans. He didn't like people going off on their own. I'll explain when I see him, she said. She packed up her gear. The creature watched her. When she picked up her helmet, the creature stood up too. It looked at her with those big, glowing eyes. Waiting. I have to go, Hana said softly. She knew the creature couldn't understand her words, but maybe it would understand her tone. You should go find your family. Go home. The creature tilted its head. Then it took a step forward. Following her, Hana shook her head. No, you can't come with me. It's not safe. She pointed in the opposite direction. Go that way. Go home. But when she started walking, the creature followed. It stayed about 20 feet behind her, moving quietly through the trees. Hana stopped and turned around. Stop following me, she said more firmly this time. The creature sat down. It looked at her. Waiting. Patient. Hana sighed and kept walking. Every time she looked back, the creature was there. Following at a distance. Never coming closer. Never running away. Just following. She reached the checkpoint an hour later. Jiho was waiting there with Suji and Minho. They all stopped talking when they saw her. Then they saw what was behind her. What is that? Jiho said, his hand moving to his weapon. Don't, Hana said quickly, stepping between him and the creature. It's not dangerous. It's friendly. Minho stared at her. Friendly? Hana, that's a predator. Look at the size of it. Look at those claws. It's young, Hana said. And it's alone. I think it's lost. Suji moved closer, curious. She was the squad's tech specialist, always interested in new things. Can I scan it? She asked. Hana nodded. Suji pulled out her scanner and pointed it at the creature. The creature watched the device but didn't move. It sat there calm and still. After a minute, Suji looked at her readings. It's definitely young, maybe a year old based on bone density. And it's underweight. It hasn't been eating well. We need to leave it here, Minho said. We can't bring a wild animal back to base. It's against regulations. I'm not bringing it to base, Hana said. I'm just saying we shouldn't hurt it. It followed me here. It will probably go away on its own. But the creature didn't go away. It followed them all day. It stayed back, keeping its distance, but it never left. When they stopped for lunch, it sat and watched. When they climbed a steep hill, it climbed too, moving easily over the rocks. When they crossed a stream, it followed, shaking the water from its fur on the other side. By evening, even Minho had to admit the creature wasn't going away. This is a problem, he said. What do we do about it? Maybe we should name it, Suji suggested. If it's going to follow us, we should call it something. We're not naming it, Minho said firmly. That makes it seem like a pet. It's not a pet. It's a wild animal. But Jiho was already thinking. What about Bomb? It means spring. New beginnings. It feels right, Hana smiled. Bomb, she said, testing the name. I like it. The creature's ears perked up when she said the name. Like it was listening. Like it understood. Over the next few days, Bomb became part of the squad. Not officially, of course. Minho made sure to remind them of that every day. But Bomb was there. Always watching. Always following at a safe distance. And strange things started happening. Good things. One morning, Suji was about to step on a plant. Bomb suddenly chirped loudly. Suji stopped. She scanned the plant. It was poisonous. Dangerous enough to burn through her suit if she had touched it. Another time, Jiho was collecting water from a pond. Bomb growled. A low warning sound. Jiho stepped back. A moment later, something huge and scaly burst from the water, a predator much bigger than Bomb. It snapped its jaws where Jiho had been standing. Then it sank back into the water. Jiho looked at Bomb. "Thank you," he said quietly. Bomb chirped. The squad started to trust Bomb. They listened when Bomb made sounds. They watched where Bomb walked and followed the same path. They learned that Bomb knew this forest better than they ever could. Even Minho had to admit it was useful. "The creature has good instincts," he said one night as they sat around their camp. Bomb was nearby watching the darkness beyond their light. "But we can't keep it. Eventually we'll have to go back to base. What happens then?" Hana didn't have an answer. She looked at Bomb. The creature looked back at her. In the firelight, its eyes glowed even brighter. She thought about that first night when Bomb had slept next to her helmet. Guarding it, treating it like treasure. Why had Bomb done that? What did it mean? Hana didn't know, but she felt like it was important. Like that moment had started something bigger than she could understand. Suji was watching Bomb too. "Have you noticed something?" she asked. "Bomb doesn't just react to things. Bomb seems to understand us. What do you mean?" Jiho asked. "Watch," Suji said. She held up her hand in a stop signal. Bomb stopped moving. Suji pointed to the left. Bomb looked left. Suji made a come here gesture. Bomb came closer. The squad stared. "That's not normal," Minho said slowly. "Animals don't understand hand signals. Not unless they're trained." "Exactly," Suji said. "But nobody trained Bomb. Bomb just knows." They all looked at Bomb with new eyes. This wasn't just a smart animal. This was something else. Something more. "I need to report this," Minho said. "Command should know about this creature." About what it can do, Hana felt worried. What would Command do? Would they want to study Bomb? Take Bomb away? She looked at the creature. Bomb was lying down now, relaxed and comfortable near their camp. Trusting them. "Be careful what you tell them," Hana said to Minho. "We don't want them to think Bomb is dangerous." Minho nodded. "I'll be careful. But they need to know. This could be important. This could change everything we think we know about this planet." That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Bomb. About the way Bomb had appeared in the forest. About the way Bomb had stayed. About the helmet. About everything. She got up quietly and walked over to where Bomb was resting. The creature opened one eye and looked at her. Hana sat down next to Bomb. She reached out slowly and touched Bomb's fur. It was soft and warm. Bomb made a soft rumbling sound. Content. Happy. "What are you?" Hana whispered. "Where did you come from? Why did you choose me?" Bomb didn't answer, of course. But those glowing eyes looked at her with such intelligence, such understanding. Hana felt like Bomb was trying to tell her something. Something important. But she didn't know how to listen. Not yet. Tomorrow, Minho would contact Command. Tomorrow, everything might change. But tonight, under the strange star, the forest was green. So green that Hana could hardly believe her eyes. She had seen forest before, back on Earth, but nothing like this. The trees stretched up into the sky, their leaves shimmering with colors that changed when the wind blew through them. Purple, blue, green, and sometimes a flash of gold. It was beautiful and strange at the same time. Hana knelt down and pressed her gloved hand against the soil. It was soft and warm. She took out a small container from her belt and scooped some dirt into it. This was her job. Collect samples. Take pictures. Write notes. The scientists back at the base would study everything she brought back. They wanted to know if humans could live on this planet. They called it Varath 7. She stood up and looked around. Her helmet's display showed her the map. She was 2 miles from her squad. They had split up to cover more ground. It was safe, they said. The scans showed no dangerous animals nearby. Just plants and insects. Nothing to worry about. Hana walked deeper into the forest. The trees grew closer together here. Less light came through. She turned on her helmet's lamp. The beam cut through the shadows. She saw flowers growing on the tree trunks. They were white and gave off a soft glow. She took a picture. That was when she heard it. A rustling sound. Not the wind. Something moving through the bushes. Something big. Hana froze. Her hand moved slowly to the weapon on her hip. She did not pull it out. Not yet, she waited. The rustling came closer. Branches moved. Leaves fell. Then she saw it. A creature stepped into her light. It looked like a cat, but much bigger, as big as a wolf, maybe bigger. Its fur was dark, almost black, but when the light hit it, she could see stripes of deep blue. Its eyes glowed, not with reflected light, but with their own light, like two small moons, green and bright. The creature stopped. It looked at her. Hana held her breath. She remembered the briefings. They had talked about predators. Big animals that hunted. Animals with claws and teeth. This looked like one of those animals, but it did not attack. It sat down, its tail wrapped around its feet. It tilted its head to one side, watching her. Curious, not angry, Hana took a slow breath. She did not move. The creature stood up and walked closer. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. It was only 10 feet away now. She could hear it breathing. A soft huffing sound. The creature lowered its head. It sniffed the air. Then it moved closer to her equipment bag. It sniffed that too. Its nose touched the fabric. Hana stayed very still. The creature looked up at her again. It made a sound. Not a growl. More like a chirp. High and soft. Then it did something strange. It looked at her helmet. It stared at the reflective visor. Hana could see herself reflected in it too. 2 figures. 1 human.
1 animal.
The creature lifted a paw and touched the helmet gently. Its claws made a small tapping sound against the glass. Hana made a decision. Slowly, very slowly, she reached up and unclasped her helmet. The locks clicked open. She lifted it off her head. Her hair fell around her shoulders. The air was warm on her face. It smelled like earth and flowers. The creature's eyes went wide. It stepped back, surprised. Then it came forward again. It sniffed her face. Its nose was wet and cold. Hana wanted to laugh but didn't. She stayed quiet. The creature made another soft chirp. It sounded happy. She set her helmet down on the ground beside her. The creature looked at it, then at her, then back at the helmet. It walked around it in a circle, studying it from every angle. Finally, it sat down next to the helmet. It looked up at Hana as if asking permission. The sun was getting lower. The forest was growing darker. Hana checked her watch. She should head back to meet her squad. But something made her stay. The creature was still sitting there, watching her. Now that she looked closer, she could see it was young. Not a baby, but not fully grown either. A teenager, if animals had teenagers, and it was thin. Too thin. She could see its ribs under its fur when it moved. It was hungry. Hana pulled out her canteen. She poured some water into her hand. The creature's ears perked up. It stood and walked over. It licked the water from her palm. Its tongue was rough but gentle. When the water was gone, it looked at her hopefully. She poured more. The creature drank again. Where was its family? Where was its pack? Young animals usually stayed with their mothers. But this one was alone. Hana looked around the forest. She saw no other creatures. No signs of a den or nest. Just this one, sitting in the fading light, too thin and alone. She tapped her communicator. It beeped. Jiho's voice came through, crackling with static. Hana, where are you? We're heading back to base. Hana looked at the creature. It was watching her with those big, glowing eyes. I found something, she said into the communicator. I need to stay out here a bit longer. What did you find? Jiho asked. Is it dangerous? Hana watched the creature sit back down next to her helmet. It curled its tail around itself. No, she said. Not dangerous, just interesting. I'll be back in the morning. There was a pause. Then Jiho said, be careful. Call if you need help. I will, Hana said. She turned off the communicator. The forest was almost completely dark now. The glowing flowers on the trees gave off enough light to see by. Hana set up her small camping light. It cast a warm circle of light around her. The creature moved closer to the warmth. It was still sitting next to her helmet as if guarding it. Hana pulled out her sleeping bag and rolled it out on the ground. She sat down on it. The creature watched her. She pulled out a ration bar from her pack. The creature's nose twitched. It could smell food. She broke off a piece and held it out. The creature hesitated. It looked at the food, then at her face. It was trying to decide if it could trust her. Finally, it leaned forward and took the food gently from her hand. It chewed slowly, savoring every bite. Hana smiled. She gave it another piece. And another. The creature ate everything she offered. When the ration bar was gone, it licked its lips and made that soft chirping sound again. Then it lay down, right next to her helmet. It rested its head on its paws and closed its eyes. Hana watched it for a long time. The creature's sides rose and fell with each breath. It looked peaceful. Safe. For the first time since she had seen it, it looked like it could rest. She knew this was against protocol. They were not supposed to interact with the wildlife. They were not supposed to feed them or touch them. They were supposed to observe from a distance and report back. That was the rule. But Hana had never been good at following rules when they didn't make sense. This creature was alone and hungry. It needed help. And something deep inside her said that this was important, that this moment mattered. She lay down in her sleeping bag. The creature didn't move. It stayed right where it was, curled up next to the helmet like it was the most precious thing in the world, like it was treasure. Hana closed her eyes. The sounds of the forest surrounded her. Strange calls from animals she couldn't see. The whisper of wind through the strange, colorful leaves. The soft breathing of the creature beside her. She felt safe. Somehow, with this predator sleeping nearby, she felt safer than she had in a long time. It was strange. It didn't make sense. But it felt right. Tomorrow, she would have to explain this to her squad. Tomorrow, there would be questions and reports and probably some angry officers. But tonight, under the alien stars with the glowing flowers lighting the darkness, Hana let herself just be. Just exist in this moment. This strange, beautiful, impossible moment. The creature made a small sound in its sleep. A happy sound. The message came back from command 3 days later. Minho read it on his communicator, his face serious. The squad gathered around him. Bomb sat nearby, watching them with curious eyes. They want to send a scientist, Minho said. Dr. Yunji. She's a xenobiologist. She studies alien life. She wants to observe Bomb. Hana felt her stomach tighten. Observe? What does that mean? It means she'll watch. Take readings. Study behavior. Minho looked at her. She's not going to hurt Bomb. She just wants to understand. When is she coming? Jiho asked. She's already reviewing the footage from our helmet cameras. She's very interested in what we've seen. Minho scrolled through more of the message. She says Bomb's behavior is unusual, very unusual. She thinks this species might be more intelligent than we thought. Suji leaned forward. How intelligent? She used the term proto-sapient. It means almost smart enough to be considered a thinking being. Like early humans, maybe. Or like dolphins back on Earth. They all turned to look at Bomb. The creature was cleaning its paws, running its rough tongue over the dark fur. It looked up at them, feeling their eyes. It made a questioning chirp, like asking what was wrong. That's not possible, Jiho said. We would have detected that in the scans. We would have seen signs of civilization, tools, buildings, something. Maybe we weren't looking in the right places, Suji said. Or maybe they don't build the way we do. Different species, different methods, Minho kept reading. Dr. Yunji has another theory. She thinks Bomb chose to approach us. She thinks it was a deliberate choice, not random. He looked at Hana. She's particularly interested in why Bomb chose you, why Bomb stayed with your helmet that first night. Hana felt everyone's eyes on her. She didn't know what to say. She had wondered the same thing many times. Why her? Why that moment? Before anyone could say more, Minho's communicator beeped again. This time his face went pale. We have a problem, he said. A big problem. What is it? Hana asked. Command detected another ship in orbit. Not one of ours. It's from Titan Corporation. They're sending people down to the surface. Armed people. The squad went quiet. Everyone knew about Titan Corporation. They were mercenaries, pirates. They went to planets that weren't claimed yet and tried to take them. They didn't care about rules or laws. They only cared about profit. What do we do? Suji asked. Command wants us to pull back to base now. They're sending support, but it will take time. Until then, we're on our own. They started packing immediately. Move fast. Stay quiet. Get to safety. That was the plan. But plans don't always work. They had been walking for an hour when Bomb suddenly stopped. The creature's ears went flat against its head. A low growl came from its throat. Not the friendly sound they were used to. This was different. This was a warning. Down! Minho hissed. They all dropped to the ground. Hana crawled next to Bomb. What is it? She whispered. Bomb's nose twitched. The creature was smelling the air, testing it. Then Hana heard it too. Voices. Human voices. Speaking a language she didn't recognize. Russian, maybe. Or Ukrainian. Through the trees, she saw movement. 5 people. Maybe 6. All wearing heavy armor. All carrying big weapons. Titan Corporation mercenaries. They were walking straight toward the squad's position. Minho made hand signals. Circle around. Avoid contact. They started to move, slow and careful. But one of the mercenaries had good eyes. He saw something. He pointed and shouted. Run! Minho yelled. They ran. The mercenaries chased them. Shots rang out. Energy blasts hit trees, burning through the bark. One blast hit near Jiho's feet. He stumbled but kept running. Bomb ran with them, staying close to Hana. The creature was fast, faster than any of them. It could have run ahead, escaped easily, but it stayed with Hana, protecting her. They reached a rocky area. Big boulders everywhere, good cover. They dove behind the rocks. Minho checked his weapon. We're pinned down, he said. They have us surrounded. It was true. The mercenaries had spread out. They were moving in from 3 sides. The squad had nowhere to go. Behind them was a cliff. In front was certain death. How many rounds do we have? Suji asked. Minho counted. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Hana looked at Bomb. The creature was pressed against the rock next to her, breathing hard. Scared. Hana put her hand on Bomb's head. It's okay, she whispered. Even though it wasn't. Even though nothing was okay. Then Bomb did something strange. The creature lifted its head and made a sound. Not a chirp, not a growl. Something else. A long, rising call. Loud and clear. It echoed through the forest. What is it doing? Jiho asked. Hana didn't know, but the call continued. Bomb was calling for something. Or someone. The mercenaries were getting closer. Hana could hear their boots on the rocks, 50 feet away, 40, 30. Minho raised his weapon. Wait until they're close, he said quietly. Make every shot count. 20 feet. Hana's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might burst. She held Bomb close. At least they were together. At least Bomb wouldn't die alone. 10 feet. The mercenaries raised their weapons. Hana closed her eyes. Then the forest exploded with sound, roaring, snarling, screaming. Hana's eyes snapped open. Shapes were moving through the trees. Big shapes, fast shapes, more of Bomb's species. But these were adults. Huge, powerful, terrifying. They hit the mercenaries like a wave. No warning, no mercy. The mercenaries tried to fight back, but it was useless. These creatures were too fast, too strong, too coordinated. They moved like a unit, like soldiers, like they had done this before. In less than a minute, it was over. The mercenaries were down. Some were unconscious. Some were running away. The rest were too injured to move. The creatures didn't chase the ones who ran. They let them go. They just stood there, watching, making sure the threat was gone. Hana stared. There were at least 20 of them, all watching, all waiting. One of them was bigger than the others. It had white markings on its face, scars. This one was old, experienced, a leader. The big one walked toward their hiding place. Slow, deliberate. Minho raised his weapon, but Hana pushed it down. Don't, she said. Wait. The creature stopped 10 feet away. It looked at them. Its eyes were the same color as Bomb's, glowing green, intelligent. It looked at each member of the squad, studying them, judging them. Then it looked at Bomb. The young creature stepped forward away from Hana. Bomb walked up to the big one and made soft chirping sounds, like explaining, like telling a story. The big one listened. Then it looked back at Hana. It walked closer, so close that Hana could feel its breath on her face, warm and smelling of the forest. The creature leaned down. Its nose touched Hana's forehead, gentle, almost like a blessing. Then it stepped back. It made a sound, a command. All the other creatures moved. They formed a circle around the squad, protecting them. Bomb came back to Hana and pressed against her side. The young creature was trembling, happy and scared at the same time. Hana put her arm around Bomb and held on tight. "What just happened?" Suji whispered. Minho was staring at the creatures surrounding them. "I think," he said slowly, "we just passed some kind of test." Jiho was shaking his head in disbelief. "They saved us. Why? We're strangers. We're aliens to them." Hana looked at Bomb. She thought about that first night, about the helmet, about how Bomb had stayed, how Bomb had chosen her. "Maybe we're not strangers anymore," she said softly. The big creature made another sound. The pack started moving. They weren't leaving. They were guiding, showing the way. The squad looked at each other. Then they followed. What else could they do? The creatures led them through the forest. They moved with purpose. They knew where they were going. After an hour of walking, they came to a place Hana had never seen before, a valley hidden between two hills. And in that valley were ruins, old buildings, stone structures covered in vines and moss, carved walls, statues, the remains of a civilization, an ancient city. "Impossible," Jiho breathed. The scans showed nothing. No signs of civilization. Nothing. "The scans were wrong," Suji said. She was already taking pictures, recording everything. "This is thousands of years old, maybe tens of thousands." The big creature walked to one of the buildings. It pushed aside some vines, revealing a wall covered in carvings, pictures, a story told in stone. The creature looked back at them, waiting. Hana walked closer. She studied the carvings. She saw images of the creatures, living in the city, building, creating. Then she saw other images, strangers coming, ships from the sky, fighting, fire, destruction, the city falling, the creatures fleeing into the forest. "They had a civilization," Minho said quietly, "and someone destroyed it." Hana looked at the big creature. She understood now. The creatures remembered. Their ancestors had been hurt by outsiders before. They had learned to be careful, to watch, to test, and Bomb had been their test, sent to see what kind of beings humans were, to see if they would be kind or cruel, to see if they could be trusted. Hana had passed that test. She had shown compassion. She had shared her food and water. She had protected Bomb, and because of that, the pack had decided to trust humans, to help them, to save them. She felt tears in her eyes. She walked up to the big creature and bowed her head. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for giving us a chance." The creature made a soft rumbling sound. Then it did something amazing. It reached out with one massive paw and touched Hana's shoulder. Bomb chirped happily and pressed against Hana's other side. The young creature looked up at her with those gull. The pack led them deeper into the ruins, past broken statues and collapsed buildings, past gardens that had gone wild, past fountains that no longer flowed with water. The creatures moved with respect through this place, like walking through a temple, like honoring the dead. They came to a large building in the center of the valley. It was more intact than the others. The wall still stood strong. The roof was still there. The big creature stopped at the entrance and turned to face the squad. It made a series of sounds, complex, rhythmic, deliberate. "It's talking," Suji whispered. "Not just making sounds. It's actually communicating. Trying to tell us something." Jiho was recording everything on his device. "I wish Hyun was here," he said. "He's our linguist. He would understand this better than we can." Minho contacted base on his communicator. He explained what they had found. The ruins, the creatures, everything. There was a long silence on the other end. Then a new voice came through. "Dr. Yunji." "This is incredible," she said. Her voice was shaking with excitement. "Do you understand what this means? This planet already has intelligent life. Native intelligent life. This changes everything. Every plan. Every treaty. Every law. What should we do?" Minyo asked. "Document everything. Record everything. And whatever you do, don't make them angry. If they're intelligent enough to communicate, they're intelligent enough to remember, to hold grudges, to go to war." "I don't think they want war," Hana said. "I think they want something else." "What makes you say that?" Dr. Yunji asked. "Because they saved us. They didn't have to. They could have let the mercenaries kill us, but they chose to help." The big creature made another sound. Then it turned and walked into the building. Bomb followed. The young creature looked back at Hana, as if inviting her to come too. Hana looked at her squad. Minyo nodded. They followed the creatures inside. The building was dark, but light came through cracks in the walls, enough to see by. The inside was one large room, empty now, but the walls were covered in more carvings, more pictures, more stories. The big creature walked to the far wall. It placed its paw on a specific carving. The carving glowed. Soft blue light filled the room. The squad gasped. This wasn't just ancient stone. This was technology, hidden, preserved, waiting. Images appeared on the walls. Moving images. Like a video. Like a recording. They showed the creatures as they once were. Walking on two legs sometimes. Using tools. Building structures. Creating art. They showed a society. A culture. A civilization that was complex and beautiful. Then the images changed. Ships appeared in the sky. Not human ships. Something else. The ships landed. Beings came out. They looked like insects, tall and thin with too many legs. They spoke to the creatures. At first it seemed peaceful, trading, sharing, learning, but then it changed. The insect beings wanted more. They wanted the planet's resources. They wanted the land. When the creatures refused, the insect beings attacked. They destroyed the cities. They killed thousands. They took what they wanted and left the planet in ruins. The survivors fled to the forests. They learned to hide, to survive. They abandoned their technology. They became what they appeared to be now, simple animals. But they remembered. They always remembered. They passed the story down through generations, teaching their young to be careful, to test strangers, to never trust too easily. The images faded. The room went dark again. The squad stood in silence, processing what they had seen, understanding the weight of it. "They've been waiting," Suji said quietly. "All this time. Thousands of years. Waiting to see if anyone worthy would come. Anyone different from those who hurt them." The big creature walked over to a stone pedestal in the corner. It picked up something, a tablet, carved from dark stone. It brought the tablet to Hana and held it out. Hana took it carefully. It was heavy. The surface was smooth and covered in symbols. She couldn't read them, but she understood the gesture. This was a gift. An offering. A symbol of trust. "Thank you," she said, bowing her head. The creature touched her shoulder again. That same gentle touch, that same promise. Dr. Yunji's voice came through the communicator. "Hana, I need you to listen carefully. What you're holding. That tablet. It's a historical record, a key to their language, their culture, their entire history. They're trusting you with their most precious possession." Hana looked at the tablet with new eyes. She felt the weight of it. Not just physical weight, the weight of responsibility, of trust, of hope. Over the next several hours, the creatures showed them more. They led them to different parts of the ruins. They showed them gardens where they grew special plants. They showed them caves where they stored knowledge. They showed them pools where they came to think and remember. And slowly, communication began to happen. Not with words, not yet, but with gestures, with sounds, with understanding. Hyun arrived by transport late in the day. He was young and eager, carrying equipment for recording and analyzing. When he heard the creature's vocalizations, his eyes went wide. "This is a language," he said, "a complex one, with grammar, with structure, with meaning." He set up his equipment and started working, recording, analyzing, comparing. The big creature watched him work, curious, interested. It made sounds. Hyun listened. He tried to repeat them. The creature corrected him, patient, teaching. It was like a lesson, a class, an exchange. By evening, Hyun had learned several words. Simple ones: hello, friend, food, water, thank you. He spoke them hesitantly. The creatures responded, encouraging, approving. They want to communicate, Hyun said to the squad. They've been waiting for someone who would try to learn, someone who would respect them enough to speak their language instead of forcing them to learn ours. Captain Doyen arrived with reinforcements as the sun set. He was older than the rest of them, more experienced, more careful. He surveyed the ruins with sharp eyes. He watched the creatures. He listened to the reports. Then he made a decision. This isn't a colonization mission anymore, he said. This is first contact, real first contact, with an intelligent species that has every reason to hate outsiders. But they're giving us a chance. We can't waste it. He called for a full stop on all military operations. No more scouting. No more mapping. No more plans for settlement. Everything stopped. Everything changed focus. The mission was now about building a relationship, about learning, about cooperation. The galaxy is watching, Dr. Yoonji said over the communicator. This is bigger than one planet. If we can make this work, if we can build a real partnership with another intelligent species, it will change everything. It will prove that humans can coexist, that we can be trusted. But not everyone was happy with this development. The Titan Corporation mercenaries regrouped. They brought in more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. They didn't care about intelligent life. They cared about profit, about resources, about claiming the planet before anyone else could. They launched another attack. This time they came in force. Heavy weapons, air support, overwhelming firepower. The human squad was outnumbered 10-1. They set up defensive positions, but they knew it wasn't enough. They would be overrun, but they weren't alone. The creatures had been watching, listening, understanding. When the mercenaries attacked, the entire pack responded. Not just the 20 who had saved them before, hundreds, maybe thousands. They came from the forests, from the caves, from the mountains. The mercenaries never stood a chance. The creatures moved like shadows, like ghosts. They destroyed vehicles. They disabled weapons. They drove the mercenaries back with such ferocity that the survivors fled to their ships and left orbit entirely. When it was over, the big creature came to Captain Doyen. It made sounds. Hyun translated as best he could. The meaning was clear. The creatures were offering protection, an alliance, a partnership. They would defend the humans. The humans would defend them. Together they would make sure no one could hurt this world again. Doyen bowed deeply. We accept, he said. With honor and gratitude. We accept, the creature rumbled, a sound of satisfaction, of approval. Then it did something surprising. It turned to Hana. It walked up to her and lowered its massive head. The gesture was clear. Respect, recognition, gratitude. Hana felt tears on her face. She reached out and placed her hand on the creature's head. You chose me, she said softly. You sent Bomb to test me, to see if I would be kind, to see if humans could be trusted. And because I passed that test, all of this happened. The creature made a soft sound. Agreement. Confirmation. Yes. Bomb pressed against Hana's side. The young creature looked up at her with those glowing eyes. Happy. Content. Home. Hyun was working furiously with his equipment. I'm getting more words, he said. More patterns. I think I understand their name for themselves. They call themselves the Verith. It means those who remember in their language. The Verith, Suji repeated. It's a good name, a strong name. And they have a name for us too, Hyun continued. They've been calling us something in their language. It translates roughly to those who see hearts. Because we looked past their appearance. We saw what was inside. Hana smiled through her tears. Those who see hearts. It was perfect. It was true. That night both species camped together, humans and Verith. Six months had passed since that first night in the forest. 6 months since Bomb had pulled Hana's helmet away and slept beside it like treasure. So much had changed. Everything had changed. Virath 7 was no longer just a designation on a map. It was no longer a planet waiting to be colonized. It was a home, a shared home. The first planet in known history where two intelligent species lived and worked together as equals. The base had been rebuilt, not as a military outpost but as a cultural center, a place of learning and exchange. Half of it was designed for humans. The other half was designed for the Vareth. Different architecture, different needs, but connected. Always connected. Hana walked through the central plaza where both species mingled. She was wearing her uniform, but it had a new patch now. A symbol designed by both humans and Vareth together. It showed a human hand and a Vareth paw touching. Unity, partnership, peace. Bomb walked beside her. The young creature was bigger now, stronger, almost fully grown, but still the same gentle spirit, still the same curious eyes, still Hana's closest friend. Her official title now was Liaison Officer. She worked between both species, translating, explaining, helping them understand each other. It was hard work. There were misunderstandings, cultural differences, mistakes, but they kept trying. Both sides kept trying. Hyun had made incredible progress with the language. He could speak basic Vareth now. More importantly, several Varath had learned basic human speech. They spoke slowly, carefully, but they spoke. Conversations were happening. Real conversations. About philosophy. About science. About art, about dreams. The Vareth had so much to teach. They knew the forests better than any human technology could map. They knew which plants could heal and which could harm. They knew how to live with the land instead of against it. They taught humans their ways of sustainable living, their methods of forest management, their understanding of the ecosystem. In return, humans shared their technology, medical knowledge, tools, energy systems, but carefully. Always with respect, always with the Vareth's approval. Nothing was forced. Everything was offered. The big Varath who had first saved them was named Torin. Hana had learned that he was not just a pack leader. He was an elder, a keeper of memories, a living library of his people's history. He spent hours with Dr. Yunji, who had finally arrived on planet. Together, they documented thousands of years of Vareth culture. The tablet that Torin had given Hana sat in a place of honor in the cultural center. It had been partially translated. It told stories of the Vareth civilization before the fall, stories of art and science, of philosophy and exploration, of a people who had once reached for the stars just like humans. We lost so much, Torin had told Hana through Hyun's translation, but we never lost ourselves. We remembered who we were, we waited. We hoped that someday someone worthy would come. Someone who would see us as equals, not as animals. The alliance had not been easy. There were humans who didn't like it, who thought the planet should still be colonized, who saw the Vareth as obstacles. But they were a minority. Most humans were fascinated, excited, honored to be part of this historic moment. The galaxy was watching. Other species took notice. Some were skeptical. Some were hopeful. Some were envious. But everyone was watching. Humanity's relationship with the Vareth would set a precedent. It would show what humans were capable of. For good or for bad, the Titan Corporation had tried to complain to galactic authorities. They claimed humans had no right to make deals with primitive species. But their argument fell apart when footage of the Varath's ruins was released. When the tablet's translations were published. When it became clear that the Vareth had a history older and richer than most known civilizations. The Vareth were not primitive. They had chosen their way of life. After the destruction of their cities, they had decided that technology had made them vulnerable, that living simply made them strong. It was a choice, a valid choice, and one that humans had to respect. Now, both species worked together to defend the planet. Human technology and Vareth knowledge combined into a formidable defense system, orbital stations, ground sensors, patrol routes. No one would hurt this world again. Ever. Hana reached her destination, a small clearing in the forest not far from where she had first met Bomb. She came here often, to think, to remember, to appreciate how far they had all come. Bomb followed her to the center of the clearing and sat down. Hana sat beside the young creature. She pulled out the original helmet from her pack. She had kept it all this time, cleaned and polished, a reminder of that first night. She set it on the ground between them. Bomb looked at it, then at her. The creature made a soft sound, A happy sound. Like greeting an old friend, do you remember? Hana asked. That first night? When you slept beside this like it was treasure? I didn't understand then, but I think I do now. Bomb tilted its head. Listening. Understanding. It wasn't really about the helmet, was it? It was about what it represented. Trust, connection, a promise that I wouldn't hurt you, that I would be kind, that I would see you as a friend, not as an animal. Bomb made another sound. Affirmative. Yes. Over the months, Bomb had learned some human words, not many, but enough. Friend, Bomb said now, the word rough but clear. Hana, friend. Hana felt tears in her eyes. She reached out and hugged Bomb. The creature rumbled happily and pressed closer. Yes, Hana whispered. Friends. Always friends. They sat together as the sun moved across the sky. Other Verath appeared from the forest. Young ones, curious about the humans. No longer afraid. They came close, sniffing, exploring, learning. Human children from the base came too, supervised by adults. Excited and nervous. Wanting to meet the Verath, Hana watched as a young human girl approached a young Verath. They looked at each other. The girl held out her hand. The Verath sniffed it, then gently touched it with its paw. Both of them smiled, or at least made their species' version of a smile. This was the future. This moment right here, young ones from both species meeting without fear, without prejudice, just curiosity and wonder and the beginning of friendship. Toran appeared from the trees. The old elder moved slowly now. Age was catching up with him, but his eyes were still bright, still sharp. He came and sat near Hana. He looked at the helmet, at Bomb, at the young ones playing together. Through a translation device that Hune had developed, Toran spoke. We chose correctly, he said. When we sent Bomb to test you, when we decided to trust you, we chose correctly. Thank you, Hana said, for giving us that chance, for not judging us by what others did in the past, for seeing what we could be, not what we had been. Toran made a rumbling sound. We have an old saying. Judge a being not by their claws but by their compassion. Not by their strength but by their kindness. Not by their power but by how they treat the weak. You showed compassion to a lost hungry youth. You shared what little you had. You protected instead of harmed. That told us everything we needed to know. Hana looked at Bomb. So Bomb was a test, but also more than a test. Bomb was a bridge, the first connection between our species. Correct, Toran said. Every generation we send our young to observe newcomers. Most species fail the test. They try to capture, to harm, to exploit. But you were different. You saw a person, not a thing. A friend, not a resource. How long have you been doing this? Hana asked. Sending your young to test strangers? Toran was quiet for a moment. 3,000 years. Since the fall, since the insect beings destroyed our cities, we have tested 47 different species. You are the first to pass. The weight of those words settled over Hana like a blanket. 3,000 years, 47 species. All had failed. Until now. Until her. Until that one moment when she had chosen kindness over fear. No pressure, she said with a weak laugh. Toran rumbled. A Verath laugh. You will do well. Humans will do well. Because you understand something important. You understand that intelligence is not enough. Technology is not enough. What matters is empathy. Understanding. The ability to see another being and recognize their worth. Captain Doyen arrived in the clearing. He looked tired but happy. Hana, there's news from the Galactic Council. They want to officially recognize Verath 7 as the first co-governed world. Both humans and Verath will have equal representation, equal rights, equal say in all decisions. Toran stood. This is acceptable. We will send representatives. We will learn your ways. You will learn ours. Together we will show the galaxy what is possible. Doyen bowed, a gesture of respect that the Verath had taught them. Toran bowed back. 2 leaders. 2 species. 1 future. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in colors of orange and purple and gold, Hana sat with Bomb one more time. The helmet was still between them. A symbol, a reminder, a treasure. What do you think will happen now? Hana asked. Where will this lead? Bomb looked at her with those wise, glowing eyes. Future, the young Verath said in halting human speech. Good future, together. Hana smiled. Yes, together. She looked up at the emerging stars. Somewhere out there, other species were watching. Other worlds were taking notice. The alliance between humans and Verath would ripple across the galaxy. It would inspire some, frighten others, challenge everyone, but that was okay. Change was